Many thanks for your time today on Marketplace. Welcome back. Ghana and other African countries have been urged to take steps to mitigate the impact of projected economic slowdown on their economies. Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, gave the advice at a press conference to wrap up the IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C. Georgieva has more on this and other developments in the following report.
The ABSA Financial Index report, which talked about financial markets in Africa, and again, Ghana dropped by 6 places. The concern is that we still have issues with the supply of forex for businesses and private investors. Let's hear from George Asante. He is with ABSA.
What we need to look at is really the steps that Ghana has taken in developing its financial markets, and to also recognize that just by other people performing much better than you drop. Right, so it may not just necessarily be that Ghana is deteriorating, but the fact that other African countries within the African proposition are actually moving at a faster pace than Ghana. But having said that, I think you also need to look at the individual pillars and how the country is performing. If you look at the individual pillars, you realize that Ghana actually shot up on the first pillar, which talks about market depth, which talks about liquidity of instruments that are issued on the stock exchange, and also liquidity of instruments that are issued by the government through the central bank. And that tells you that there is a lot of activity between the central bank, between market participants, to really ensure that the bond market is liquid. If anyone buys a bond today and they want to sell tomorrow, it's much easier to do that. So there is a lot of action and initiative that have actually been executed. Then there are other pillars as well. For example, the capacity of local investors, where Ghana was actually one of the highest rises.
The first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, believes there are some shortcomings in these rankings that the author should take a second look at, because he believes that what they used this year was not based on current numbers, but rather that of 2018.
Pillars, the biggest pillar, the pillar that we came down significantly, was access to foreign exchange. I think that the assessment is not comprehensively done. What they are actually looking at is excluding the central bank participation from the foreign exchange market and looking at purely the commercial banks. And that is where the access to foreign exchange, Ghana is coming down, because the Bank of Ghana actually receives all the cocoa inflows. And so for receiving the cocoa inflows, we are a bigger player on the market. And if you take that out of the system, then you are giving the impression that foreign exchange is limited on the interbank market, but there is also access from the central bank that is supplied to the interbank market because of the cocoa proceeds that come in. So that is an area that we need to talk to the team about, to look at availability of foreign exchange instead of only limiting it to the commercial.
Well, for us, it was a whole learning curve in terms of engaging these investors, those who matter in the finance and economic space, that they all met here at the annual IMF World Bank meetings. Till we meet again, this is George Asante reporting for Joy Business.
And back in Accra, the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency is hosting a 3-day event organized by Crossfield Consulting Group. The aim is to create awareness and sensitize participants on a balanced approach in designing and implementing bottom-top solutions in actualizing universal renewable energy criteria and efficiency. The event also seeks to promote mobilization of investments in critical aspects of the ECOWAS renewable energy sector. My colleague Fred Duho is there and joins us live with some updates. Fred, good afternoon. Hello, Fred. Hello, Fred.
Okay, currently I am at the Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel, where the 3rd Sustainable Renewable Energy Forum is taking place. And I must say, so far they've officially opened the session, and it was opened by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. And from there, currently the plenary sessions are ongoing. And this is the 3rd edition of the ECOWAS Sustainable Renewable Energy Forum. Currently behind me is a number of displays or exhibition of solar panels, and why a number of people will have to resort to these solar panels instead of relying on charcoal, on firewood, and a number of other conventional methods of energy. So I have with me one of the stands, the woman, to give us details on what really informed their exhibition. Welcome to Joy Business.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, briefly tell us what are you displaying, and what is the essence of all this, and why are you participating in this forum?
Okay, so we are Greenlight Planet. We produce solar lamps and solar home systems under the brand name Sun King. So you can see some of our range of lamps and lanterns and solar powered appliances. And what we discovered is that, in communities, urban, rural communities, they use the likes of charcoal, they use the likes of candles and other hazardous equipment. And they spend a lot of money on these items. But we produce these products, and you use renewable energy solar. We never run out of solar in Africa, West Africa for that matter. So these would last you longer, they're safer, they're clean energy appliances, and they're just less dangerous. So that's the key reason why we identify with ECRI. So we like to participate in forums like this so that we are more aware of what's happening in these communities, and we also inform people of, what we have to offer them.
All right, thank you very much. So you heard one of the people or participants who have their items on display. I have with me another person to give us a brief on why they are part of this particular economic forum today. Hello, welcome to Joy Business.
Hello, good afternoon.
A number of items here on display, solar panels. How much are they going for?
Well, it depends on what the project is, because our team has to come and have a look at where we're going to be installing, because we also manufacture and we install. So once we do a survey, then we can now break down the price for you and how it's going to go. We also give financial assistance, and through financial institutions, we can help you come up with a plan. So in case it's something that is too huge a burden for you to cover, so we can give you solutions for that as well, provide solutions for that.
The cost of installing these particular solar panels is one thing that is quite difficult, and that is what is deterring people from installing solar panels, to make cost of energy access quite cheaper. What is the way forward as far as cost is concerned?
Yes, like I told you, our company Yellowstone, who is based in Nigeria, are here to provide a solution for you. We are ready to meet up with you and analyze how we can work out a plan so we can go through the steps together. Yeah, so it's very possible, because we need to light up Africa. It's a problem, and we're bringing the solution to you. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should move to the very third stand, and from there we can let our viewers understand what they do. There are a number of air conditioners here, a number of renewable energy products on the market currently. So welcome to Joy Business.
Thank you very much.
Your name and the company name, and what you basically do.
The company name is Strategic Power Solutions, SPS. My name is Harry Lloyd.
What do you do basically?
We produce or manufacture PV panels, also solar panels in Ghana.
How affordable are all this to the Ghanaian worker? The salary we earn is quite meager.
Okay, so to those who need it, it's not just the Ghanaian worker. For anybody who requires solar as a solution to their energy requirements, it's affordable.
So the SDG 7 actually speaks about accessibility, affordability, and a couple of other things. The ECOWAS forum that is currently going on, what do you think the Ghanaian people or institutions should do to adopt this renewable energy as source of power?
And that was my colleague Fred Duho bringing us updates on the third edition of the ECOWAS Forum on energy efficiency and renewable energy usage in Africa. Let's move on to other stories now. The National Labour Commission says the increasing speed of the industrial disputes in the country is overstretching its limited resources. Chairman of the Commission, Andrew Asamoah, says while between 80 and 120 complaints are registered every month, the Commission is able to sit on only 48 of these cases. He says the two officers of the Commission are so overwhelmed that some cases end up unresolved as the various parties to the dispute get frustrated. Prince Appiah was at the swearing-in ceremony of the Ashanti Regional Committee of the Commission and our reports.
The Labour Commission is described as a poor workers' court to settle cases between employees and employers in both formal and informal sectors. However, with only 2 offices in Ghana, it is able to hear a maximum of 12 complaints a day, which Executive Secretary Ofosu Asamoah describes as highly discouraging.
The Commission receives between 80 to 120 cases every month. That's the average. And the Commission sits 4 times in a week, in a month. That is, they sit on Wednesdays. And they hear an average of 12 cases. So that at the end of the month, the maximum number of cases sometimes the Commission can hear only 4 cases in a day. 4, sometimes 2. So that at the end of every month, we have a backlog of between 40 to 60 cases at the head office. And the Commission doesn't sit on every Wednesday.
Parties in a dispute, some of whom travel long distances to Accra for such hearing, get frustrated and give up. Executive Secretary Ofosu Asamoah again.
It is not necessarily the pressure on the head office which is worrying, but the disappointment and the inability of the complainants to access justice, not because they do not have a case, but because time, right, and opportunity will not avail them for their cases to be heard. You have people who have very genuine cases, but their cases cannot be heard. This is because the cases come from all over the country to the head office, right? So that if we are able to establish offices in the various regions.
Chairman of the National Labour Commission, Andrew Asamoah, gives some details.
To the workers that if they have a problem, they know where to go. They should not rush into starting that they want to demonstrate, put armbands. No, there are points you have to pass. You have a problem, you come to the Commission. If you are unable to resolve it, or if we resolve it and the government does not implement, at that point you can.
He spoke at the swearing-in ceremony of a 3-member committee for the Ashanti Regional Committee of the Commission. Regional Chairman of the newly inaugurated committee, Kwame Adomapia, commits members to diligence in executing their mandate within the confines of the law.
As an independent arbiter, or arbiters, as the committee would sit, I think we cannot do much or less except that we have to work within the laws of Ghana, especially the Labour Act and the National Constitution.
Members of the committee are representatives of the social partners, that's government, employers and organized labor, who have been nominated to serve on the regional committee. Prince Appiah reporting.
And still on industrial disputes, students of Kumasi Technical University are feeling the pinch of the ongoing strike action on the campuses of the Technical University College. This is after administrators of the university in Ghana joined lecturers for the strike that started more than 2 weeks ago. The lecturers who are members of the Technical Universities Teachers Association (TUTAG) declared a sit-down strike on Tuesday, October 7, over poor conditions of service following the conversion of polytechnics to technical universities. They want government to consider them in ongoing negotiations to improve working conditions for teachers in tertiary institutions. Once again, Prince Appiah visited a KTU campus and says many students have left, whilst others are expected to go because they are wasting their resources.
The strike is indefinite. Because of that, our colleagues, some of them, they went home, and some of us too, we are still on compost, but due to that, learning and studying on compost became very, very, very poor, because some of us who are still on compost, we also assume that we are still wasting our resources, that is money, because whilst we are still on compost, even though we will learn, but still we don't know what actually we are doing, because due to the timetable we are having, we're supposed to start with MISEC today. This is 21st of October 2019. But because of that, we don't know when actually we will have the MISEC before we will go for our exam. Due to that, it will affect us a lot. So therefore, we are pleading to the government to come and solve this matter amicably, so that our lecturers can come back to the classroom and teach us. Thank you.
The strike have affected us in so many ways. Like me personally, I wanted to go to the account office to make some kind of, I'm on scholarship, so the check is in and I wanted them to process it for me. But when I get there, I was being told that this week the non-teaching staff too are also on strike, because based on the scholarship, I needed some of the money for my books and other teaching learning materials. Please also support us in some way, but due to the strike, those things too is not coming.
We thought it was a joke, but the following day we came to class, but no lecture for us. Now we found out from our class captain, they said that it is true that we have a strike. And then from my own experience, I've listened to radio and they said that all technical universities, not only our school, but they say all technical universities have come together and they collaborated to have one month so that they call for a strike, which is an indefinite strike. So for me, as I heard that it's an indefinite strike, I was very sad, very, very sad to hear that it is an indefinite strike. Because we don't even know the day or when they will come back to help us. And you know, as a student, you need to learn on your own. But if you didn't get an assistant like a lecturer to help you, sometimes you will not understand. You see that?
Kumasi Technical University venting out their frustrations when they spoke with Prince Appiah. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines is expressing concern that the country could lose out on being the biggest supplier of mining imports for the West African sub-region in the next few years. CEO of the chamber, Suleiman Koni, told Joy Business that mining companies expect government to support their quest to acquire many of their imports locally by empowering local suppliers to meet their requirements. This, he said, will make the country lose out on the opportunity as a mining hub in the sub-region. Let's speak with my colleague, Ebenezer Sabute, who has been speaking with Mr. Suleiman Koni. Eben, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon, buddy.
All right, so what exactly has been going on at the workshop? Why are they, fearing they could lose the status?
So this workshop is basically for the mining sector to engage local producers, local manufacturers of inputs and all that. What they are saying is that it is time Ghana put up a huge investment into empowering the local manufacturers and the local suppliers so that they could be able to produce more to meet the market demand. At the moment, Ghana is the supplier, the best when it comes to the West African sub-region. We supply to the other neighboring countries when it comes to inputs and other materials for the mining sector. But looking at how things are going, it appears we are losing that opportunity. But when you look at the situation, Ghana has enough opportunity to turn things around so that we could still lead in that regard. So the call by the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines is that let's put up more investment. Let's double up our investment so that we don't lose out on the opportunity. We have the opportunity to provide to all other West African countries that are dealing into the mine. But if we don't double up our investment, we may lose out on that.
Now, Ebenezer, in recent times, we've seen the mining sector, launch a local content policy. Now, despite this, why are they still concerned? Is it because the policy is not being implemented well enough?
Yes, the local content policy has been passed. What he's saying is that, yes, the local content policy is there, but there's no much investment into it. So it is like passing the law. The law is there, but if we don't implement it adequately, we are not going to see the benefit of it. It is not just about passing the law. We can have the law, but if the law doesn't bite, or if there are not much investment into ensuring that some of these things are sourced locally, there's no way we can do it. And especially if they don't meet the standard, we cannot say because we need them locally, so we should go for anything. If at the end of the day we buy the product and they don't meet the standards, there's no way we are going to buy them. So government needs to come on board to ensure that they meet the standard. Because, before you can take any input into the mining industry, into the mining sector, you need to have standards. So if the standard is not there, we are going to lose out.
All right, many thanks for that update, Mr. Sabote, with these updates from the mining sector. And on that note, to wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace, many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.